Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of Seeing Beyond and Through with Monty. Right before you is 18-year-old Timba Baba. Now, Timba was born in Chad, but raised in Sudbury, Ontario. Timba is making the news because of an incident that happened at her local Pioneer gas station. Timba was involved in a racial altercation there, where she was confronted by this man here, 31-year-old Mark Bradley. Timba was confronted with a barrage of racial insults. But before I go on, I want you to have a look at the incident yourself.
To be nicer.
Please, sir. Yeah.
You need to be.
You're black mouth.
Oh, okay. No, you need to be nicer.
No, you and
You need nice. I don't give a. You need to be nice.
What are you gonna do?
You need to be nice. You need to be nice. I'm telling you, you need to be nice. Ever talk to him like. Don't ever. I don't care that you work 12 hours. I don't give a.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
You're getting in my face like a finger cold.
Get out. Get out.
Calm.
Get out.
Calm right now.
Get out. Get out. I'm gonna call the cops. I'm not.
I've been waiting for
Get
you.
out.
Call the cops. You're the
Get
one
out.
harassing me.
Get out.
You know what it is?
I'm not allowed to say
It's
that.
not a black person. A black person is a nice, respectful person. Someone who acts like a is someone who starts tripping out.
I told you to stop being mean to him.
So you
You're
sound
holding
like
up
a...
your life.
No. No.
That's to do whatever you
Hold
can.
up the line
I don't
with
care
that
that you work
fucking
12
piece of my
hours. I don't care that you work 12 hours.
Okay, so you heard that incident there, and the unfortunate language that Mark Bradley chose to throw at a 18-year-old, just out of high school. But I'm going to give you a unpopular opinion because Timba is being called a hero. She's being called brave. You know, these accolades are being directed her way. Now, I'm not going to come down hard on her. She's 18 years old and she's inexperienced. So this is called the inexperience of youth. But I do believe that this was a case, point, an incident where this young black girl should have just minded her own business. You have a cell phone there. If you feel like the clerk was threatened, why don't you just call the police? Keep recording, call the police, but stay out of it. And there were two male clerks there, two grown men. Don't you think they could have defended themselves against Mark? Come on, there was no need for her to put her life in jeopardy. She could have really come out of there injured. He could have really beaten her up if he wanted to. Now, there were stories that an altercation occurred outside where they both ended up on the ground and she had a chipped tooth from falling. She wasn't really beaten up really badly because I don't believe he really wanted to. Not that I'm trying to paint him as some good guy or who has mercy on this young black girl. Obviously, this bum is a racist. But I just think that we as black people need to pick our battles carefully. And we need to realize and understand that we only have so much energy to give and to fight for. And this really was not her battle. Not at all. I just think that she should have, like I said before, called the police or allowed these two gentlemen here to call the police. There was two of them. And what was going on was that, contrary to reports, she was not protecting anyone. There was no physical altercation that the white guy was giving towards these Indian guys. These guys are not physically in danger. This Mark Bradley guy was just being a jerk. He was being a dick. He was being verbally abusive. And had she would have left it alone, he would have just eventually just walked out. I do not know why we as black people, and particularly black women sometimes, feel like we have to be saviors. And by the way, look at these guys really good. I want to show you another video of this here. Take a good look at them.
You're getting in my face like a call the cops. You're the one harassing me. You know what it is?
As you can see, there were two men there. Two men there who were well equipped to handle themselves. Two men there also who are POCs, people of color. And I can tell you, you know, the same thing that happens in Ontario, pretty much where they own the gas stations, more power to them. Same thing like here in the States where you have a lot of Arabs that own gas stations. When it comes to convenience stores like 7-Eleven or those little dine and you dash in, dash outs, they're owned by a lot of people of Indian descent. No problem with that. But what I do have a problem with is that these particular POCs can be very racist. They can be very colorist. They can be very anti-black. Did I say anti-African also? Anti-dark skin, pretty much. Therefore, I don't think they thought too highly of her. They probably thought more highly of the white guy, but he shocked the shit out of them by being such a jerk to them. And I'm sure that if this Mark guy came back to their store, I'm sorry for what I've did. Please forgive me. I had a tough week, tough time at work. All would be forgiven. I find that these POCs can be some of the racist people around. Now, here's a young lady. She was born in Africa. They said, basically, even though raised in Africa, but you must not marry a black person. So this is pretty much a common theme among Indians who are on the continent of Africa, Indians who are out of the continent of Africa. They can be very anti-black. They can be more so pro-white than what they are pro-black. So therefore, the problem that I have here is that this young 18-year-old put her life on the line, put her physical well-being on the line for two men who probably don't even give a damn about her. Black people, we need to pick our battles carefully and make sure that if we're going to go out there on a limb, that it's going to be reciprocated. Okay, she goes on to say that it breaks my heart that workers have to take SHIT from customers all the time for no valid reason. Baby girl, I mean, are you going to jump into a situation where people are rude all the time? This is not the first time when you're going to see someone being rude, being a jerk, being very obnoxious. Are you going to get involved in that every single time? Now I want you to look at this right here. She talks about how this first occurred, how she became aware of it. When I entered the store, I could already hear yelling. So I knew something wasn't quite right. I'm going to stop there. You can read the rest while I talk, because this is all I need to know. So basically, she's stating that she did not know what precipitated the yelling. She states that when she entered the store, this is out of her own mouth, she heard yelling, so she knew that something was not quite right. How does she know that these clerks were not rude to him? Sometimes they can be very rude. She's talking about how she don't like the idea of them taking ish from people, but sometimes they can deal it. She doesn't really know what happened, but yet she puts herself front and center. And had this white guy would have beat the shit out of her, first thing a lot of people would say, well, where are the black men protecting us? We're not being protected. But you put yourself right in the middle of a firestorm that just did not concern you. Two men right there in the store. This is the Mark guy in the front. As you go to the left, you see a figure. You go to the right of back of him, you see a figure. Two grown men. I would like to know, when Timba went outside, did they assist her? Did they call the police? Did they give her some type of a thank you? For all we know, she could have emasculated them. Maybe they don't feel so good because a girl, a female, stepped in to protect them. Keep one thing in mind, certain cultures are different, where they have their women walking 3 feet behind them, not in front of them. So they may not be thankful for what she's done. So we have to be very cognizant of what we are doing. Because if the shoe was on the other foot, I doubt seriously if they would come to her protection. And this is another thing too. By her being a dark-skinned black woman, and this has gone worldwide for no reason at all. Now I say for no reason at all because it was none of her business. No one was being stomped. No one was being choked. She did not have to render first aid. So what, a barrage of insults from a white drunk man. Not her business right then and there. But this leads into the whole theme of dark-skinned black women being aggressive, angry, confrontational, loud, and vulgar. She just aided to that whole stereotype right there. She really did. There is a time to be these things when your life is on the line, when a loved one's life is on the line, when a dear friend's life is on the line. But there are some times where you just need to mind your own damn business. Allow the authorities to take care of that. Call them. And by the way, do you remember this right here? I did a story about how Latino gangs were firebombing black residents driven from them from Boyle Heights and different areas, some areas in Los Angeles. Latino gang members in Southern California are terrorizing and killing blacks. POCs, people of color. Many blacks foolishly believe that because there are other POCs, that there's some type of kinship there. There's some type of camaraderie there. That we're all in the same boat together. Bullshit. No, we're not. And people will be quick to tell you that. But black people seem to not want to wake up. Now, remember this? These are children right there. Let me tell you where I'm taking this right there. Remember this fool right here? An African immigrant? What did she do? Scaling the Statue of Liberty for people who don't give a damn about her. And she never got a thank you from that particular group. And she confesses that a year later, nothing has changed. Climber of the Statue of Liberty and fighting immigrant family separation with activist Patricia Okamua. See right then and there, we have another black female here, a dark-skinned one at that, trying to be a savior. For what point? Really, what is the point? There's 50 million Latinos in America. They're well capable of fighting for themselves. The point is that why can't we just stay out of shit and just mind our own business? Remember this from 1996, around that time there. This is a black female protecting a KKK member who chose to go into a black area in March. And what happened was that he got separated from his comrades and a crowd surrounded him. And what does she do? She shields them. Once again, a dark-skinned black female doing this. You know, it doesn't look good for that particular image. Remember, it goes into being aggressive, angry, confrontational. And I'm going to say foolish too. These men who these black women are protecting, they wouldn't do it for them. And let me tell you, I said dark-skinned black females a couple of times. I find it very odd that I do not see light-skinned black females doing this, or exhibiting this type of aggressive behavior, or having a savior complex. I'm wondering, because they're dark-skinned females, black females, are they trying to overcompensate for something? I wonder, is it because they think that they're not beautiful? Or they think that they are homely? That they're trying to get people to look at their bravery? Are they trying to elicit a hero response? It could be an overcompensation. But there's no need to be doing this stuff. It really is, because they are not going to be thanked for what they're doing. These groups who they are looking out for, shielding them from harm, they're never going to thank these women. I mean, they are never going to be anything special to these groups right there. So Timba, 18 years old, inexperienced, not very wise, decides to jump into a situation that she had no business jumping into. You know, we got to teach our children better. We really do. If this was a case in point where someone was being physically assaulted, I can understand, maybe, depending on who it is, jumping in, helping. But a verbal assault, that's going to happen every single day. You're going to encounter that your whole lifetime. We all encounter rude, loud, obnoxious, verbally abusive people. We cannot take action like that and jump into that in every single case. Sometimes we have to just walk away. We really do, particularly if it's verbal and in a situation like this. So at this gas station, what this young lady did is not hero status, in my opinion. She was not being brave. She was not saving anyone. She did not do any good. I thought it was a very foolish act from someone who's wet behind the ears, who lacks wisdom, who lacks the foresight to know when to get herself involved in the right situation. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is another edition of Seeing Beyond and Through with Monty, and I will see you all beyond and through.